Another eBay item I picked up is this little hammer right here. This is a hammer, small little hammer, with a magnifying glass built into it. And the magnifying glass is mounted in a little rubberized ring to isolate it from shock, I'm sure, so that when you bang on something, which, in case you don't know what this is for when you're setting, when you're using a punch and you're making marks um, after you've done your layout and you want to make little marks. I've got the terminology all wrong. Basically, you take your punch, you use the magnifying glass so you can see the point of the punch really clearly and make sure you're exactly right where you want to be, and then you don't have to put down the magnifying glass and pick up a hammer to hit your punch. You basically, look at it and you tap it. And I would love to have one of those little optical punches, which I don't know if you've ever seen one of those, but it's like a tube with a crosshair on it, and you put it over, you line it up, you look down the viewfinder, and you put the crosshair right over where you want your mark to be. And then you slide out the glass piece and you slide in a little punch guide with a little punch in it, and it's really cool. But they're actually a little pricey, so until I come across one at a yard sale, find, or flea market or something like that, for the time being, I'll have this to do my layout marks. Uh, okay, so so the reason why I wanted one of these, even though might be a while before I get to the point where I need one. Starrett makes a version of this hammer, and it's quite expensive. I want to say like $70 or $80 is what this retailed for from Starrett. These came up on eBay, and the guy was actually trying to pass these off as a collectible because they say Winchester ammunition on them. So apparently these are a cheap Chinese knockoff of the hammer, and they've been stamped with the Winchester trademark, ammunition trademark. These are going for about $1 or $2 piece on eBay. So, um, if you want one of these hammers and you don't want to pay the big bucks for it, for $1 or $2 with shipping, this was like $6. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I figured I'd show you guys in case somebody out there is interested in one of these. Then I wasn't sure whether or not I had actually shown this or not, but I went back to the gentleman who sold me the first he sold me the Alorix BXA tool post, and then when I went back he sold me the Dovetail Manufacturing AXA sized tool post. And he had said that he knew he had a cutoff tool somewhere, and he said he would get it to me. And sure enough, I went back and he sold me the cutoff tool. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately. The good thing about it is it's an original Dovetail Manufacturing tool post, so it's not a knockoff Chinese one. But that also means that this is for the AXA size tool post. So this cutoff tool is for smaller lathe. So if I end up putting the DTM tool post on the Atlas, then I'll have a cutoff tool for that. But what I was really hoping for was I was hoping he had a BXA holder. I think it's a BXA 7 is the number of the holder that is actually for cutoff tools for that sized holder, which is what I want for the Hendy. I paid about $20 for that holder, by the way, which it's not stealing it by any scope of the imagination, but it was still a good deal in my opinion. Now another item I came across was this little level. This is a Stanley level. Um, I was intrigued by it because it's got these pretty nicely machined surfaces on the bottom here. It's so small. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't look like anything that would be used in carpentry, but it is by Stanley. I would have loved if this said, Starrett on it, but the reason why I grabbed this level was A, I got it for next to nothing, and B, I am going to need a precision level to, to level the lathes. Oh, my cell phone's ringing. I got to run. You know, I've got my cell phone upstairs on the kitchen table because I don't get reception down here in the basement. So, of course, I'm waiting for an important call. So I run up there, just missed the call, only to see it was only a telemarketer anyways. Ah, all right. So what I started to say was I wanted a precision level. Can't speak this morning. I wanted a precision level so that when I am ready to start using the lathes, the first thing I want to do is I want to level the lathe, because that's a critical step in the proper setup of a lathe. And I'll talk about that briefly. Really, Steve? Can you talk about anything briefly? Anyways, general idea is if you put a precision level, a very, very accurate level across the ways this way, what you want to do is you want to level it at this end of the bed and then again down this end of the bed. And what that does for you is you're not so much concerned about whether or not it's actually level. What you want to do is you want to make sure it's at the bubble's at the same point here as when you put it down the other end. What you're doing is you're taking out any possible twist in the lathe. And you think, well, it's all steel, but no, it's going to twist a little bit. And a little bit of twist in the bed of the lathe is going to cause you to have a problem. You're going to not be able to turn things correctly. You're going to, I think you're going to end up turning taper is what ends up happening. But when you want, you got something you want to turn it on between centers, and you're expecting it to be the same dimension at one end as it is at the other end, if your lathe bed has got a twist in it, that's not going to happen. So that's why it's important to do that. But the high precision levels that are used to do this job are quite expensive. And they're not your typical flea market find. So what I was wondering was, when I saw this one, was whether or not this would be accurate enough. And the way to tell whether or not this has got that kind of sensitivity, in my mind, is to just put it on a flat surface like I'm doing here. And I'm looking at the bubble right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my feeler gauge set, and I'm going to start with 20 thousandths thick feeler gauge. And I'm going to put the feeler gauge under one end and see if the bubble moves. Now, the extremely accurate levels are going to have a very pronounced movement with a very small amount of lift at one end of the lathe. So what I've got is the bubble moved quite a bit at 20 thousandths. So let's try something more fun, like 5 thousandths. All right, so I don't know if you could see that, but there's basically the bubble barely moves when I put the 5 thousandth shim underneath there. So this level is, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the sensitivity that should be required by a lathe in order to do this test. So I'm probably still going to end up using it to level my lathe until I come into possession of a much more accurate level. There's some curvature to the top of that parts washer cover there, so that really wasn't a good place to do that test. So actually over here, I got a 5 thousandths shim underneath there. So now I'm on the actual ways, and if I pull the shim, it goes back to, it's funny, just by chance this is actually side to side, this is almost dead on level. So I can see some movement in the bubble with a 5 thousandths shim underneath there. So I mean, it might work. I mean, I could definitely get close. Certainly better than not leveling it at all.